the record reflect present today are members Graff, Decker, and Soderberg, and Chairman Reeser is participating by video conference. Member Graff, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting has been noticed with accordance to the Nevada Open Meeting Law. Have we made all the notices?
Yes.
We're good. Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Are there any members of the public present in the hearing room who'd like to address the board? Seeing none, are there any members of the public on video or teleconference who would like to address the board?
No.
Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, I would just have one comment. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. We recently received, as the Vice Chair knows, resignation of Member Trujillo. He's made it effective immediately last week. He's taking a new position with a new company that is global and will be traveling a great deal more than he already was, and did not feel that he could balance those obligations with his obligations to the board. We thank him for his service and we wish him well in his new endeavors.
Ditto. I agree. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the January 19th board meeting minutes. Any members of the board who would like to make an amendment or bring up anything on those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the January 19th, 2024 board meeting minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 4, industry discussion. Are there any members of the taxicab industry who would like to bring up an item before the board?
No, I just want to make sure these can be passed on. Good morning.
Good morning. Please all state your name for the record so we've got it.
Cheryl
Okay.
Gibbons with Whittlesey Blue Cab Henderson Taxi.
George Balaban, Blue Cab Company. Michael Balin, Yellow Checker Star, Blue Cab 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Thank you.
What we presented this morning to you are the Super Bowl statistics for all companies in Clark County that operate DT5 meters. Those companies are ACAB, Deluxe, Desert, Virgin Valley, Whittlesey Blue and Henderson Taxi, Yellow, Checker, Star, and all new cab companies. At our last meeting, Vice Chair Soderberg, while he appreciated the stats that we had presented for the F1, he thought they were lacking and that they failed to show the number of driver shifts that were operated. And he was very specific that he wanted that information for the Super Bowl stats. So what we've done, we have shown you the week before Super Bowl, the week of Super Bowl, the week after, and those same numbers for 2023. And although we did include the number of rides that were surcharged versus the ones that were not, the main item of interest, in my opinion, is the number of shifts operated. The week before Super Bowl, we operated a little over 6,000 shifts. The weekend of Super Bowl, close to 6,600. Whereas the week after, we dropped to 6,100. And last year, for that same weekend, we were at 5,500. So we believe that this absolutely shows that by offering that $10 surcharge, both our lease and our fleet drivers were more inclined to work for us that weekend than to go work for the TNCs, either on app or off app, or to operate their vehicles as gypsies because they knew they were going to share in that surcharge. I thought it was very interesting that right before Super Bowl, the TNCs announced, and it was all over the local news, that they were going to be charging a $10 surcharge, and that 100% of that surcharge was going to their drivers as well. But I think this shows that by us offering this, these people don't want to operate in their own personal vehicles. They would rather come and work for us and have that cab and be able to share in that surcharge. Any questions?
Any questions on the board? Chairman Reeser, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. It looks to me like it was a 10% increase.
I was just curious, we've got, in the Super Bowl, you've got some rides that didn't charge a surcharge. I don't understand.
Those would be rides that the local community where they were not going into one
they
of the
weren't in the area.
zones. So those would
Okay.
be anything that was not applicable
Okay.
to that surcharge.
Okay, thank you. I just need to understand that. Okay, I think that's all self-explanatory. Thank you very much. This really lays it out.
One question.
Sure.
No, sure. So overall, so this is twice now, F1 Super Bowl, that we've had the surcharge in place to try and help you guys manage the events and the crowds. Overall, would you say that this was effective in its purpose in helping you manage the events?
100%. Absolutely.
I think that the numbers show that, we were able to get more drivers out on the road that weekend. And for my companies, I had literally less than 3 call-offs the entire weekend. And that includes call-offs for FMLA leave. So I think it's just something that these drivers appreciate. They like it, and it gives them the reason to want to work for us versus working for themselves off app or on a TNC app.
Here.
So at that last meeting, the order was that we needed to bring these stats to you by March
March
5th.
5th, yeah.
We're bringing them in early today because we've done this twice, as you mentioned, and we're looking at the March Madness is coming up, the basketball tournament, not the basketball tournament in town, the basketball tournament that's the Sweet 16 to 64. Historically, that has been a very big weekend for us, the first weekend ever when it's the 64 teams. I believe we filed the application this morning, didn't we?
Yesterday.
So we filed an application this morning, yesterday, looking to put in a surcharge during that first week of March Madness. So we wanted to get these statistics in front of you so you could see these, so that when you're looking at that application, you'll understand what we're doing. You're going to see in that application that we're filing what we're asking for this March Madness. Again, we've learned as we've been doing this, we're learning and fine tuning things, and it's worked well with the help of Captain. So in this new application, we're looking to put on the surcharge, but take it off late at night. So by 2 in.the morning, the surcharge will come off, because we will feel that the traffic and the number of ridership will be down significantly enough that we don't believe we need to be charging that. So it's going to be again, when you read the application, spread over the 4 or 5 days. It's going to be starting in the day and ending late at night. So it'll be a 6-7 hour window where there is no surcharge each and every day. So, because again, we're trying to fine tune this. We obviously don't have the capability to dynamically change prices like Uber and Lyft do, but we're learning through this system how we can still make adjustments and change it on a daily basis. So again, we'll make that presentation at the next board meeting, but we kind of wanted to get these in front of you so you can see that we believe the surcharge is working in order to get drivers to work, like Cheryl stated, and we're again experimenting and trying to get it as fine-tuned as we can get it.
The next document that you have in front of you, and this morning I emailed Interim Administrator Parks the proposed airport signage. If the application that we filed is approved at the March meeting, and I believe there's going to be a special meeting date declared for that hearing, but I wanted him to have a heads up of what the airport signage is going to be at T1 and T3. And also I've presented to you the actual rate card. The reason it's blank on the bottom is that these are printed on card stock. And just so you can see, the actual regular rate card itself would be visible from here down, and this would be on top of it. This is what we've used for F1 and for Super Bowl, but I thought it appropriate to at least get this in front of you as well so that you guys can be thinking about it before we actually present our application.
Okay. I don't want to get too far afield of an
Right.
application we're not going to discuss, but I think showing the rate card or prospective rate card is informational. Do we have any questions of the industry reps?
I do. More of something to consider, if you were granted a special board meeting, F1, first time ever in Las Vegas, Super Bowl, first time ever in Las Vegas, March Madness every year. So I assume that your application is going to include some kind of experiential data as to why this rate would assist in helping you deal with March Madness. Which, again, like Mr. Vice Chair said, we're not here to discuss the
Right.
applications.
We'll give testimony to
Yeah,
that,
we'll give
but-
some testimony to that. I would have, if the Super Bowl had not even have been here this year, I believe that we would have come in and asked for the surcharge even without the Super Bowl being here, because it is a historically very busy weekend, and there's going to be surcharges in the other, our competitors, and that's why we're losing the people. I mean, people come to town for the Super Bowl, whether it's here or not, every year, and this is the same type of event. It's not actually here, but it's more about the number of bodies, tourists that are coming.
I only have one question. We're, as you said, fine tuning, and I understand that, because we've only done this twice. Is it your opinion that we get to a point where the board would be able to look at 6 months or 12 months type of application that you want these surcharges on these dates? As Member Decker said, none of these events are surprises. You know in advance. Every once in a while, something comes to Vegas that nobody even heard about, but rarely it doesn't. We know 2 years, 3 years in advance what the big events are going to be. Do we get to a point where the fine tuning, you feel comfortable enough as an operator that you could just apply for 6 or 12 months worth of surcharges?
That's what we're hoping for.
That's what we're hoping. I mean, as an industry, we've discussed that internally, before Uber and the TNCs existed, a cab driver, they always wanted to work Fridays and Saturday nights. That was the busiest time. Fast forward to now, and drivers don't necessarily want to work on Fridays and Saturday nights for us, because they can go work for the competitors and run Gypsy, work for Uber and Lyft and do it legally, but going to be in a surcharge, so they can make more money going somewhere else. So, yeah, so I think that, we're working through this and trying to fine tune this, but yeah, we would foresee that hopefully at some point, we'd be doing something every Friday and Saturday night, at least the Fridays and Saturday nights that.
It's absolutely the way it is now. Between the three of us, we have over 100 years' experience in the cab industry. And our company, our employee drivers belong to 2 separate unions, and we do bids every year, or one of the companies is twice a year. And it used to be Fridays and Saturdays always were the first to go. It's not the case anymore. Drivers are not bidding on Friday and Saturday because they're working for Uber because they're surgeon. And so we got to find a way to get our drivers to be on the road. So it really makes for a healthier industry by providing this to our drivers.
And I think, we'll be able to fine tune it so it's not affecting the locals if they're not going into the resort corridor. So it would be applying more for the resort corridor, so.
Given that this is a new program and we're just getting the data that's saying that it's effective, I'll give you a pass in March on what I'm about to say, but can you fine tune it to the point where we're not holding special board meetings in order to discuss rate increases on annual events, is all in the future?
That's what we're hoping to be able to do.
Gotcha.
And it may not be, the dollar amount of a surcharge for something like Super Bowl is not going to be the same as it's going to be for EDC. So, we've got to look at a lot of statistical data. We've got to do a lot of brainstorming internally before we come before the board with those. But it was our hope that as we move forward, we could have something that would be a Friday, Saturday, and then for, the next 6 months, calendar out the events, and based on historical data, what we think where we're going to need those hours and days, just like we've just done for March Madness. We went back and pulled 2 years of stats for the, the week that we're asking for in our application. So that's the hope.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further questions of the industry before y'all go? And none. Are there any other members of the industry who would like to address the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 5. This is the hearing on intervention petitions for the application of Iliadis Post Road LLC and Asteri LLC for authority to transfer interest in certificate holders Taxi Transport LLC, Cab Transport LLC, and 21st Century Taxi LLC for discussion, possible action on the interventions. Do we
So,
have
Vice-
any petitions? Pardon
Vice
me?
Chair Soderberg, I caused this matter to be put on the agenda when we noticed the hearing for March. Unless the administrator knows differently, I don't believe we've received any interventions. Is that correct? Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, so I
We don't
I don't
have
think I don't think there's business here. What I wanted to avoid was interventions on a transfer application coming in, hours before the actual hearing, and then people making discovery requests and whatnot that would delay that hearing. So that was my reason for asking for this to be on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. So we have nothing to act on today. Okay, let's move over. Item 6, staff reports.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Curtis to go through the stats real quick first, and then I'll finish up with some items as well.
Good morning. For the record, Curtis Mell, Management Analyst for Nevada Taxicab Authority. All right, for January stats, the trips for 2024 were a little over 1,080,000. In 23, they were 1.1 million. So we've got a slight drop in the annual change of it. The revenue for the companies overall for employees in January of 24 was 2030, and it's an increase over 2023, which was 1822. Lease revenue as well is up from the year prior. There's a small note down there in blue about the additional companies that you'll start seeing as the year goes along that started leasing later in the year in 23. So we'll have those numbers coming forward. The next page with the combined trips, it just shows a little early in the year to see any trends there, just compared to last year and the months going forward. The year-to-date comparison, the employee trips of 633,000 compared to almost 800,000 in 23 is down a little bit. Along with lease trips are up to 448,000 over 350 the year prior. The revenue, you can see employee revenue is down, but lease revenue is up. Combined together, the revenue for January was 22 million, and in 23 it was 21.4 million. So we had an increase in revenue. There's been no changes in medallions or lease decals for the month. The next two pages are the same as usual. And then onto our elderly disabled rides is about the same as in December, a little less at 1,100 disabled and 800 elderly as compared to December. Credit card transactions are way up for January compared to December at 600 and almost 650,000 compared to 493,000. Then on to agency stats. Under investigations, we had 34 citations written, including 1 long haul and 7 impounds due to no CPCN on there. No warrant arrests. Of the citations that were resolved, or violations that were resolved, was 43. 34 of those were waived before hearing, just pleaded no contest. There was 12 hearings held. Of those 12, 9 were guilty, and there were 3 denials and 7 vehicle releases. Next page shows the dispatch events. On 2 pages, there were 645 events total for the month for dispatch. The next page is the list of the citations that were issued for the month, including the impounds and the long route. Monthly vehicle report, you can see of the out of service notices issued in the 24-hour issue. Totals at the bottom there. There were 173 accidents inspected for the month, 189 annual inspections with 16 meter seals, and 65 new cabs were placed into service. And the last page gives a breakdown of a total of all the cabs that are currently in service, which has been on a nice trajectory increasing. Just a quick review of the stats. Any questions?
I have one comment for the agency. Go to number of accident, this is dispatch events, 286 accident calls. And then you go through the citation violation report. We know that traffic violations are under NRS 706.8845 sub 12, obey laws, safety, comfort and convenience. So it's basically obey all laws, including traffic laws, 6 citations, 286 accidents. If I were in charge of the agency, I'd have my guys out there writing tickets, just a comment. 286 accidents seems like a lot. Seems like it's going up, but yeah.
I agree 100%. One of the things I'd like to do, a lot of the times these accidents are being reported to our vehicle inspectors who can't write the citations.
Gotcha.
And I've had some discussions on how to correct that, so more citations are issued on the accidents. Not quite sure how I'm gonna do that yet, but I 100% agree with you that out of that many accidents, probably a few more citations.
Right.
On that note, if I may, we are looking at, because some of them are also just bumper taps, and we're trying to get that breakdown when there is a level of damage that would be, because some of these are just simple bumper taps that every accident has to be reported to us. So we need to kind of get there, which ones are major, which ones are minor, which ones are really nothing, but we're documenting. So that's another issue as well. It's something that we're hoping to get better numbers on.
Any other questions from the board, staff? Okay. Mr. Parker, do you have anything?
I do. I just wanted to update you on the 4 new positions. I testified in front of the interim finance committee a week and a half ago, and they were approved. So those positions are now approved. I started doing the RTFs yesterday to get them posted, so we can try to get those 4 people hired as soon as we can. Update on the radios. We have basically all the radio equipment in our possession now. We've been having a difficult time getting it programmed. And that's not on our agency, that's coming from the people that we bought the radios from. They've been having some difficulties with staffing and things like that to get the radios programmed, but we are still waiting for the dispatch console and the recorder. But if we can get our portables programmed, we can use them. And dispatch can actually dispatch with a portable radio as well. So we're still working on that. The 7 new vehicles that we were given in our last legislative session, they have been delivered to Fleet Services. We are in the process, we cannot take possession of those yet until the vehicles are registered, and we're going to get cold plates on them and make sure that Fleet Services has all of their paperwork on them. It's going to be about $11,000 to outfit each one of these vehicles. And I talked with the director's office yesterday. We're good that way. So as soon as we can get possession of the vehicles, we'll get them fitted, and then we can get them out on the road. It's kind of a good thing for us, because we've been having such a hard time keeping our vehicles serviced, the ones that we own right now. It's going to be a couple-year process to weed out from our own vehicles, owning our own vehicles, to go into Fleet Services completely. But process has started now, so. Been working with the director's office on a strategic plan. There's a lot of programs that I would like to start. One specifically is getting our officers out at the airport full-time. I guess that used to be a thing for the Taxicab Authority. I've looked at a couple of different programs. There's one down in New Orleans that I really like, and see if we can do something with that. I'd like to start a pilot program to see if we can get that out there. And then if it works as well as I think it's going to work, eventually hire more officers to be able to staff that full-time and have that program out there. When I took over as the interim, we had a lot of positions open. Ms. Webb and our whole legal staff was open, plus other vital positions. We are now down to 2. We made an offer on a vehicle inspector this week. We're interviewing 10 more people tomorrow to fill our 2 last positions, which are AA2 positions. And again, we're interviewing 10 of those tomorrow. So hopefully by next week, we're gonna have our whole agency staffed up minus the 4 new officers that we just were given. Right now, we have a dispatcher in training still. As soon as that dispatcher is out of training, we're going to implement a swing shift full-time 7 days a week in dispatch. That's going to roll over into a swing shift 7 days a week for our enforcement officers. And eventually, I'd like to get a dispatch center that's open 24/7, 365, because the industry has a difficult time reaching us sometimes, and I don't want that to continue. So as soon as we can get a couple, I'm going to ask for 2 more dispatchers. And once we can get that going, I hope to have a dispatch up and running 24/7. Maybe eventually someday we'll do that with the officers too, but that's a long ways down the road. So that's pretty much all I have. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions of the interim administrator? I just want to say, actually could get to 100%. That's like state newsletter time.
Yeah.
And no agencies are at 100%.
Yeah.
There's always somebody coming and going. So
Well,
if you can get all your
tomorrow's a
people
new
not
day.
to resign or transfer out for a
Right.
week or so and get your 100% week, that'd be,
Right.
that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you.
Couple of things, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay.
Congratulations on getting 4 new positions through IFC. It's almost impossible. Great work on that one. This might be helpful, might not, depending on your situation. I just want to throw it out there with your radios. NHP Radio Shop programs a lot of our agencies. They might be able to do that for you
Yeah.
half the time.
That's who we're gonna be going through the kid program.
And then the other thing is, for industry, the Taxicab Authority has had very distinctive and highly recognizable police cars for years and years and years, almost 10 years or whatever. And you are, unfortunately, this was started by a predecessor of yours, but you are now going to have a hodgepodge of fleet vehicles, Chevy Traverses and Nissan Altimas, whatever it is that you're going to have that are going to be out there with lights and sirens. And theoretically, they're going to be police cars that are going to need to be recognizable by the driver, your drivers. It's disappointing to me that you're no longer going to have your distinctive cars. Fleet, we get our vehicles through Fleet. We get what they can get, and right now you can't get the cars. It's very hard.
Yeah.
You've got your 7, which is great. We've got 5 pending that we just can't get, that we're looking for ourselves. It's disappointing that you're going away from the owned vehicles. If you ever have the opportunity to go back, I would highly recommend it. But I think the vehicle situation you guys are going to be in with the multi-type of fleet vehicles out there on the road will create some problems with recognition that may change the way your officers do things. Disappointing. But I just wanted to mention that because for 10 years we've all known you see a car, Ford Taurus, white, no markings, oh, that's Taxicab Authority. That is going to go away, unfortunately.
Yeah, I appreciate your concern, for sure. we were spending so much money in trying to maintain those vehicles because they had not been maintained for so long. And you're exactly right. It's difficult to get vehicles right now. We have another 7 vehicles coming, but we can't take possession of them until next January. And we have not ordered those. I don't know for sure what kind of vehicles we're going to get yet
Yeah.
for them. So.
And then the last thing I just want to mention publicly is, thank you for your efforts, as the acting administrator. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I appreciate all the things you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. We'll go to item number 7, public comment.
Actually,
Are there
Mr. Chairman,
any-
can we talk about future agenda items real quick?
Oh, sure. I didn't see that on here. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I
Sounds
just
good to
wanted
me.
I just wanted to alert the other board members of a couple of things. First of all, as you probably gleaned from agenda item 5, we will have an application next month for a transfer. As presiding officer, I directed, and the administrator is doing so. We will, background reports are being prepared, and we will get confidential reports in advance of that meeting. Since there's no interveners, I'm not expecting any motion practice or anything like that, but we will have a contested case hearing the 20th. During industry comment, it was intimated that an application had or was soon to be filed for a surcharge for March Madness. This is just a procedural comment or kind of a procedural flag, which I've noted for the administrator. There is a request for a special board meeting. The mechanical difficulties with that are that we have a 20-day newspaper publication notice requirement. And by the time it gets published for the first day and the 20 days starts running, we may be bumping up such that the special meeting would be the day before the regular meeting, in which case it seems not appropriate to have back-to-back meetings. So I don't know what will happen with the special meeting agenda, and I'll keep board members apprised as we find out whether we'll collapse this into the regular scheduled meeting. There are going to be some logistics issues because that's the day that the meeting day of the 20th is also the date that the surcharge would go into effect. So there's some mechanics issues that we'll have to work through, but I just wanted to alert the board members that we have those items coming up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public comment. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board present in the hearing room? Hearing none, are there any members of the public on teleconference or video conference who'd like to address the board?
No.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was just in here.